Here is Richie in North Wales. Go on, Richie.
Yeah, good evening, George.
Hi.
I just heard the comment that you disagreed with the 91 Iraq war.
Of course.
Yeah, now, I've got a dispute with that. See, I was actually out there and went into Kuwait City. I was one of the ones who spent a month out there afterwards. And to see...
You were a soldier, were you a soldier, Richie?
Yeah, British soldier.
Yeah.
To see the delight of the children when they seen us coming into their city and freeing them of the stress and pain they were going through.
Yeah.
You can't take that, but there's got to be a reason. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Of course there was a reason, yeah. The question is whether what happened and what happened next turns out to be worse than the illness. If the cure turns out to be worse than the illness, then it's not a cure at all, is it?
No, well, I agree with the fact that what happened next shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, but one followed ineluctably from the other, Richie. That's the problem. I was just giving a wee talk to some young supporters in Edgware Road before coming here, Richie. It's worth just making these points. Kuwait belongs to Iraq. Kuwait was a part of Iraq. Kuwait was stolen from Iraq by Britain, by the British Empire, which carved a hitherto non-existent country called Kuwait out of Iraq, precisely because of its strategic importance on the Gulf and its ocean of oil underneath its shelf and underneath its soil. Now, that doesn't mean that Iraq was justified in invading and seizing Kuwait. Not at all. As I was explaining to my young friends earlier, there are many countries who could make equally justified historical claims. For example, the Republic of Ireland could legitimately say that Northern Ireland belongs to the Republic of Ireland, that it was stolen from Ireland by British colonialism, and that it was maintained by British colonialism for its own selfish and strategic purposes. Ireland could make that case very powerfully, but that would not be an argument for the Republic of Ireland's army rolling over the border and reoccupying the 6 counties of the north. Spain could do the same to Gibraltar. Indisputably, Gibraltar is part of Spain. Yeah, I mean, it's actually on Spain, sits on the end of Spain's nose. The idea that it should belong to Britain, half of Europe away, is obviously sheer preposterous. But you couldn't possibly make the case that Spain has the right to roll across the border and retake Gibraltar. Do you see my point, Richard? But there is a historical fact that Kuwait never existed. It was part of Iraq. It was taken from Iraq by the empire for selfish strategic purposes. Secondly, Kuwait was stealing Iraq's oil across the Rumelia oil field which straddles the border between Iraq and Kuwait. Kuwait, having given the Iraqis billions and billions of dollars to help defend them against the Ayatollah Khomeini and the Islamic Revolution in Iran, then said, actually, chaps, that was all a loan and we want the money back. Kuwait was overproducing and thus reducing the price of oil exactly at a time that Iraq needed to earn more money rather than less to begin to recover from the Iran-Iraq war. In other words, there were many, many reasons for the conflict between Iraq and Kuwait. Of course, Saddam Hussein was insane to invade Kuwait and then not to withdraw from it when it became clear that the United States was going to put together 29 countries, as it turned out, to pulverize Iraq, then starve its people in their hundreds of thousands, and thus lay the ground for the eventual attack on and occupation of and dismemberment of Iraq. How about that, Richie?
You've definitely put a different thought into my mind. I know I was out there liberating the kids, but when you put it in that way, I can see where you're coming from, actually. You've put a very good argument across.
Thank you, Richie. I appreciate that very much. 08717 223344.